And I remember even talking to one of my male entrepreneur friends after going through a bunch of investor meetings, and he just said to me, when I go to an investor meeting, all I need to care about is whether or not he thinks my startup sucks. And I just thought, wouldn't it be nice to have a safe space to cultivate a relationship with an investor, or we're putting them in a space where they're helping and mentoring and teaching.
Welcome to another episode of Bold Entrepreneurs, where we talk with CEOs, founders, visionaries, all over a bowl of cereal. I am your host, Mike Press, and today's guest is a Forbes List 30 Under 30 in venture capital. She is a former 4-time USA National Champion and Hall of Fame gymnast. She's an executive coach, a speaker. She is a Red Bull Hero of the Year, Entrepreneur Magazine 100 Most Powerful Women, author of the Bad Bitch Business Bible, and the founder of the Bad Bitch Empire. None other than Lisa Carmen Wang. Make some noise for... How'd I do?
That was pretty good.
Already starting out at a 10. All right, so let's get into the cereal.
Okay.
What cereal you got today?
Lucky Charms, because I'm a lucky girl.
Not mad at it. Not mad at it. Not mad at it. Lisa Carmen, where you from?
I'm originally from Madison, Wisconsin, although you can never tell.
No, I wasn't getting that. The outfit wasn't given Madison, Wisconsin at all. Nope.
I was born in Wisconsin because my parents immigrated from China.
What did you want to be when you grew up?
I wanted to be either an Olympic figure skater or an Olympic gymnast, or both. And then I realized at some point you have to commit to one because both are extremely rigorous. My dream from when I started gymnastics, my decade-long dream was to go to the Olympic Games. And I had my sights set on 2008 because it was in China and my parents are from there. So I'd be representing the US team in China, and it'd be this really incredible kind of bringing together of the American dream, you know? And I worked day in and day out for that dream, and I went from state champion to regional champion to national champion to Pan Am champion, and I was at the World Championships, and I ended up really being the number one qualifier for the Olympics, kind of the front runner for the team. And then I ended up missing the Olympic Games by a mere 0.25 tenths of a point, which is like a toe. It's like it's like if you did that mistake. I think I wanted it so badly, and it was like I also anchored my entire identity on this one thing, and to put everything onto one outcome is really, really dangerous. It was like, well, who am I if I no longer have this thing that I've been wanting for as long as I can remember? And that was around the same time that I got my acceptance letter from Yale University, which was also my dream school. And so it was like, okay, one dream shattered, another dream comes, but it definitely didn't have the same weight as, you know, the Olympic dream. And so I think it was really in that moment I had to tap into myself and ask, like, who am I really? What is my actual identity? And I realized that my identity isn't that of a gymnast, it is that of a winner. You know, I'm gonna do the hardest thing that I know possible, and I'm going to fly to the Russian Olympic Training Center, which is it's like army boot camp in the middle of Siberia is what it's like. And you train there for 9 hours a day. And at that point I wasn't a threat to the Russians anymore. So it was like, okay, she's just coming. And I just was like, I'm going to commit to being the best gymnast I can possibly be. And I'm gonna do it for me. And I wanna prove to myself that I can do this without like the outcome. And so I spent 9 months there. I told Yale I wasn't coming. I would, come the following year. And I trained, I traveled, I competed, and I whipped myself into shape. And I ended up 9 months later at my final competition, which was the USA Gymnastics National Championships. And I won every single gold medal.
Damn right.
And I won Athlete of the Year. And then I was like, peace, bitches, I'm out. Like, this is how my story ends.
How long did you stay at Yale?
4 years.
Okay. And from Yale, you went into your first hedge fund, correct?
Yes, I started working on Wall Street.
When I was, researching you and reading up things about you, there's one quote that really stuck out to me. I can't work for people. And I think it's such a bold thing to say, because I think you were just in like your first beginning years at the hedge fund, and it just seemed like one day you just got there and you were just like, no, we're not doing this no more. And you're like, I'm out. What made you even feel that? Like, what was going on that made you even feel that?
I just knew I was meant for more. The whole industry of like everything in Wall Street, at the end of the day, is basically to help rich people get richer. That also didn't resonate with what I believed I was put on this earth to do. And I think also at that point, I was very sensitive to how I felt. And what I felt was trapped. I needed creative freedom, and I knew I couldn't find that there.
Creative freedom, I'm glad you said that. Talk about foos.
I call it my starter startup, and I think every entrepreneur should have a starter startup. And that is a startup where you make a bunch of mistakes and you have no idea what you're doing. Foos was a late night munchies delivery app, and I ended up convincing 2 developers to help me build this app. And then I just Googled, what do you have to do? And it's like, you have to create a deck, you have to have a vision, you have to have a business model. So I was like, I can put that together.
Yeah.
And then I did, and then they had an interview with me, and then I got $60,000, and now I could build a company.
So let's go into Silicon Valley. What happened there?
I was fundraising for my startup, and I remember one of the first networking events I went into, and the investor I was speaking to basically brushed me off as the assistant, and went to my male co-founder and just assumed that he was the CEO, and basically was just extremely rude to me. And that happens more times than you can imagine. And I remember even talking to one of my male entrepreneur friends after going through a bunch of investor meetings, and he just said to me, wow, it never occurred to me that women go through this, because when the investor never tries to hit on me. When I go to an investor meeting, all I need to care about is whether or not he thinks my startup sucks. And I just thought, wouldn't it be nice to have a safe space to cultivate a relationship with an investor where the dynamic isn't one of essentially like a predatory one, and more of a friendship. Like let's meet each other at the same level, or we're putting them in a space where they're helping and mentoring and teaching.
And to really clarify, what was SheWorks?
So SheWorks was a events and community platform that was focused on helping women get access to capital. So we did summits, we did over 300 events, we had chapter leads in global cities, and they were all basically using the format that I had created and putting that into different cities. And so we basically built up a massive user base of female entrepreneurs, of the data, what they were fundraising, what kinds of companies they were building, and just had built up a really big pipeline, so much so that it ended up getting acquired by a company that was looking for that. SheWorks was really this opportunity for me to learn how to put a room together and learn more about how do you even out power dynamics that are traditionally uneven.
There's this thing that you have called good girl brainwashing. What is good girl brainwashing?
This idea of good girls have traditionally been seen as what women should be. You should be polite, you should be obedient, you should be pleasing, you should be nice. And that is in direct opposition to a woman who truly is in touch with her power. And the reclamation of being a bad bitch is really just, actually, I'm not a bitch if I say what I want. Actually, I'm not a bitch if I'm direct. Choose not to deal with you because you're disrespectful, or if I call out bullshit. And that actually just means that you have self-respect. So I got my book deal to write the Bad Bitch Business Bible, and then from the Bible, the Bad Bitch Empire was born. The definition of a bad bitch, by the way, is a woman who unapologetically takes charge of her body, her boundaries, and her bank account. And so that bank account piece was like, okay, it's not just about working harder and like hoping for a raise. It's about leveraging your money. That's really where I got to, was like, how do I help women become bad bitches and start investing in asset classes that are actually gonna make them rich?
What's been the boldest moment of your career as an entrepreneur?
launching the bad bitch empire, for sure. So my launch party was at the Bitcoin conference. I decided to co-sponsor with a crypto hedge fund and a crypto venture fund. And this is obviously a very male-dominated conference. And so I decided, first of all, that I invited my women an hour earlier. So I was like, I want all the girls to come sooner so that they have a chance to meet each other before all the crypto boys swarm the place. And so actually, it's quite good. Imagine at a crypto conference, you actually have women at the party. And it literally got to the point that one of the partners had his assistant say to me, Lisa, we're not allowing any more women in. I'm like, what party has ever said that, especially at a crypto party? And that is not gonna happen.
Did a woman say this to you?
No. It was another man. Okay. And I had put up, I got ready. I had banners, I had t-shirts, I had all the little promotional QR codes. I had my speech ready. I stood on a table and I said, when I say bad bitch, you say empire. Bad bitch.
Empire. Sorry.
Exactly. That's exactly. And then the headline that came out was Bad Bitch Empire crashes the Crypto Boys Club and makes a splash. So
what are some habits, things that you do that keep you like on 10? So
one of the main things that I do quite regularly, it's at least every other weekend, is I microdose mushrooms. And I do it very intentionally, always with a notebook. And what I use mushrooms for is really to kind of like floss the brain and to think, what is the noise that I don't want to keep and what is my actual truth?
Is there anything else that you do, like meditation? Like, is there any other thing that might be like?
I have done ayahuasca.
What?
The critical moment was when the shaman separated the men and the women, and he had the women come up and he was going to bless all the women. And I was sitting there and I felt this really, really intense pain in my stomach and my chest, and I thought I was gonna die. I saw this vision, and what I saw was thousands of women and their ghosts in particular. The ghosts of women who had been abused, harassed, murdered, drowned. And I realized that the pain that I was feeling was not my pain alone. It was the pain of generations of women. I realized I had the power of all of those women inside of me, and that I had a mission because I could see that, and I had a voice, and I had all of these experiences. I saw all the experiences that I've had leading up to, oh wow, this is what I was meant to do.
If you could be remembered for one thing, what would it be?
I want to be remembered as someone who dared to speak up, who dared to challenge the status quo.
And on that note, we drink the rest of this cereal. I thank you so much for you showing up today. All right, you gotta take.
I feel like we gotta cheers.
We gotta cheers it up, and we gotta drink this down. They don't supply napkins here. Lisa, thank you so much.
Thank you.